So my name is Joey, and I want to lay out the guide to make over $100,000 a year on eBay. It's really simple. The way I make my money is I flip items from garage sales on eBay, and I want to show you guys how you can do the same. So without any prior knowledge or further education, you can do this starting out with just the eBay app, scanning things, your local garage sales and local estate sales. I'm going to show you guys how to do this full time and how I do it full time, showing you guys the mistakes that I made along the way and showing you guys the stuff that I've learned. So this is going to be a really comprehensive video. I want to be as relaxed and comprehensive as possible to show you guys what I do in a day to become a full-time reseller. I want to provide a video that I wish I had when I first started out reselling. So if I had this video when I first started reselling, I'd be really happy, and I would avoid a lot of the mistakes that I made along the way. But something I really harp on, and I will harp on throughout this video, is that you need to make mistakes in order to learn within reselling. Reselling is something where you're going to learn and make a lot of mistakes, make a lot of money. So the things that you're going to learn from is the mistakes you make. So if you make a mistake on buying something you shouldn't, you're going to learn from that past mistake and not make that mistake again, hopefully. And the same thing goes for when you make a lot of money on some item. You're going to realize that that item's worth a lot of money. And the big thing with reselling and what separates the amateurs from the professionals is that they have prior knowledge base of what's worth money. So they can walk into a house and spot out 50 different things that they've probably bought previously and have either lost money on or made money on, and they're able to pick out items a lot faster than the amateurs, or just not be able to look up everything. And because of this, they're able to spot out things, grab them, and make the money before you do. So I'm going to jump into everything. This is my first YouTube video that's like pretty comprehensive. I don't want to keep on saying the word comprehensive, but I don't know. It's very tough for me to talk in front of a camera, so I'm going to do my best. I've never made a video like this, so I want to be as relaxed as possible, but I want to talk to you guys as if you're my friend and explain this to the best of my ability, because I know I have the knowledge up in there. I just need to get in a way that's understandable to you guys and will help you guys the most. So throughout this video, giving a little background, I've put in over 10 hours of research into this video, and in 2019 I started out my reselling journey. So I've been doing it just for over 3 years now. At the start of COVID, last year I cracked just over $90,000 in profit. So it's, I know what I'm doing, and I just want to show you guys how easy it is, how profitable garage sales can really be. Because I know if I was a kid, I would love to hear this, love to know that there's another way besides working 9 to 5. There's another way you can work for yourself and have this opportunity of garage sales. I mean, obviously, if you don't know what garage sales are, or how profitable garage sales can be, it might seem pretty weird that you can make a full-time income from garage sales. Like, you might be like, okay, this person's just bullshitting me. But no, it's actually really common when you go to garage sales to see people doing it full time. The really people who know what they're doing are there. You can see similar faces, and they're selling on eBay. Then most people who go to these professional garage sales are resellers. So I want to lay out the guides, the step-by-step protocol that you could take, and everything you need to know in order to become a full-time reseller. And yeah, that's the goal within this video. So when you finish the video, you're gonna have a great understanding of what you need to do in order to become a full-time reseller, work for yourself, and yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I want to explain to you guys first off that, let me see. So I want to explain first off that unlike a lot of people say, eBay is not one of those things where you're just gonna be able to wake up and know what sells and what's not. The first thing you could do is everyone has specific niches and things that they all care about. There's like Pokemon cards you grew up playing with, or you enjoy hiking, you enjoy cinematography or photography. You have some background knowledge on something, so you've went out and you've bought $1,000 camera before. So if you saw a Canon, or if you saw the same camera that you bought for $1,000 at a garage sale for $100, that would be a good pickup. So everyone has their own categories and niches that they're already familiar with, and they have the advantage over other people. I mean, the thing about garage sales is you want to know as much information about each category that you can. And because of this, you need to have some hustle. You can't be lazy within reselling. You need to be, I don't want to say like the hustle mindset, but you do have to get yourself out there, put in the work to learn what sells, what doesn't sell. You need to do a lot of research. You need to get out of bed early to get to these sales. And I'll get into that later, but I just want to put that in the front of the video that garage sales aren't something you could just do passively. You can't really sell passively on eBay or anything like that unless you're drop shipping. But this is just focusing on reselling and how you can go to garage sales, flip items from garage sales on eBay and make full-time income off that, because that's what I do and that's what I'm best at. So I'm gonna be able to teach that to you guys on this video. So the first thing I want to talk about is how eBay changed my life personally. So I want to talk about how before eBay, my outlook on work and my life. So before eBay, I didn't know really what I wanted to do with my life. I knew I didn't love any job. It wasn't my favorite. Nothing was my favorite subject, I guess I could say. I didn't really excel in any subject or anything like that. So I was pretty lost in that realm. And I knew that I wanted to work for myself and be an entrepreneur, but I didn't know what that really was. I didn't know what that entailed and how I could do that. So the first thing I did was just like I tried every single way to make money online, in person. I was the kid who was trying to sell candy at school. I was shoveling driveways or mowing lawns. Tried drop shipping. What else? Like I don't know. There's so many different ways. I can't think of any other besides those that I said. Tried to make money. I was always, just thinking, wrapping my head around the idea that you can make money yourself that doesn't require a job. That was always really fascinating to me. I love the idea that you could pick your own hours. If you wanted to take a day off and work an extra day on Saturday or something like that, I thought the idea of just working for yourself and being your own boss was the coolest thing in the world. And I knew that was what I wanted to do from the beginning. But going through the school system was hard. Like knowing that being the outlier of oh, well, I want to work for myself. It's just it doesn't really work within the school system. You're not really taught to think freely. You're thought to, do well in standardized tests, get to college and everything, which I did end up doing. I do go to college and I did follow that route. But again, I will be working for myself, doing this full time. And yeah, eBay was something that really changed my life because I didn't realize what a really entrepreneur was. I didn't know what entrepreneurship was. I didn't know how to work for yourself, how to make money. And I was just kind of lost within the reselling world, and I was like, well, what am I going to do? As much as I talk the talk about wanting to make money, work for myself, I'm not making any money. I'm not doing anything. Other kids are getting to schools or focusing all their attention on getting good grades so they can get to schools, and I was still stuck just thinking about how I can make money. And eBay was the first thing that opened my eye to being to showing me how money can be made and how easy it is. I always thought it was just one day I'd have a breakthrough with drop shipping or something like that, but it was never that way. I just saw eBay and I realized the opportunity of just being able to go out and turn $5 into $100 and saw how powerful that was. I've gone to garage sales before when I was younger, but never with the mindset of trying to make money. And eBay was just changed my whole mindset, and it was awesome. It was just awesome to have the idea that you can work for yourself. There are opportunities out there within almost every single location in the US to make money and a full-time income from garage sales. So I want to jump into the next thing, and I want to start getting into the protocol of everything that you need to know in order to make full-time income from garage sales. So I have some bullet points. Again, I said YouTube's not my thing, so I want to get to this as concisely as possible, and I'm not going to pretend that I have everything memorized. So I'm going to be reading off the bulleted list. I have a bullet list of topics, and then I'm going to be explaining them to you guys, what they mean. So something like this, it might be beneficial for you to take notes. I'm going to have timestamps for everything, hopefully. If I don't have timestamps, I'm a little bit upset. But I'm going to have timestamps for everything, and I want to jump into the basics of what a garage sale is and the different types of garage sales that you can have. So the first thing I want to talk about is the difference between family-run garage sales and professional-run garage sales. So we're going to jump into professional-run garage sales. And garage sales are your bread and butter when it comes to reselling. So if you're reselling online on eBay, garage sales are your bread and butter. There are other opportunities for reselling. You can do thrifting. You could sell stuff within your house. You could sell stuff off your friends for consignment. But for me personally, what I do and what works best for me is garage sales. So that's what I'm going to be teaching. So we're going to talk about the difference between a professional-run garage sale and a family-run garage sale. And for me, and most people I know who do resell for a full time, what they do mostly is professional run garage sales. Professional run garage sales are when a company who does this professionally, they take on people's houses who are looking to move or downsize, and they sell the stuff for them on a consignment basis. So they'll sell the stuff for them, do all the research, do all the hosting of the garage sale, have workers hired for selling stuff, security, and everything like that. So That's where most of the garage sales that I go to are. They're professional run garage sales, and these are found on estatesales.net. Estatesales.net is a place where you can find all the professional run garage sales. If you ever like, where do I find garage sales? The number one place you guys are going to want to use, and the app is called estatesales.net. It's going to have a bunch of different features that you can use to find garage sales. You can sort by location, distance, type of garage sale. And the best thing about estatesales.net and what separates it from an app like Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, which we'll get into later, is the pictures that they have. So within each listing of a garage sale, you could see, between either like 10 to 400 or even more sometimes of what's in the house. So you could pick and choose between, like within the area of your town or your region that you're looking to garage sale in. You could see what's available at the sale. So you could pick and choose what sale you want to go to. So that's probably the main difference between finding garage sale with professional and family. So with professional and garage sale, you're also going to have the idea that professional companies aren't going to be taking on houses with a low amount of value in the house. So they're not going to be taking on a house that has, like $100 worth of stuff to sell, because it's just not going to be worth for them. I know from these companies themselves, they take around 30% of the profits. So it's not going to be worth it for them to hire people, security, people who check people out and stuff like that for $30. So you can expect with professional and garage sales that there's definitely high ticket items in the sale most of the time. And because of this, you can also expect higher prices most of the time. So you can expect higher prices because they are hiring staff. They have to list the site on estatesales.net, list the sale on estatesales.net, which costs money. But estatesales.net almost guarantees that there's higher profit items. Again, you're able to look at the photos on estatesales.net to see what's at the sale, and this is what you're going to want to be doing every weekend. You're going to going to estatesales.net and going within your area to see what sales are available, and then from there you're going to go through, and I'm going to get into it later how you find profitable items just from these pictures. But you're going to look at the pictures and see what catches your eye and be like, okay, well, I know X, Y, and Z is worth $100, $200, and $500, something like that. So you're saying to yourself, well, if I can get out there early, make sure I'll talk about how to get to garage sales early and what that means and how the system works for that. But if you could say to yourself that I can make, guess that you can make $300, $400 profit off a garage sale, you're going to make sure you're going to get there early. And yeah, so the main thing with estatesales.net is that you're going to be going on the site, on the app, going through what sales they have available, and you're going to try to find a sale within your area that sounds interesting to you. And then the difference between this and estatesales.net is that the sales on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace are family-run garage sales. So these are garage sales run by family owners who are just looking to get rid of some stuff. It doesn't mean they don't have stuff that's valuable. I've been to plenty of garage sales where it's run by the family on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist that they have a ton of stuff available and they just don't want to pay somebody, or they don't know about the professional companies that do this. So yeah, I'm going to, I don't think I've ever talked for 13 minutes straight. So I need some water. Yeah, so with family-run garage sales, it's families running the garage sale. You can usually expect lower end items. This isn't the case all the time. There's no end-all be-all for what's at a garage sale. It's different for every single garage sale. It's a treasure hunt. You never know what you're going to find. That's part of the fun. That's kind of the reason why I love garage sales so much. You're going to wake up every day, and personally, that's the reason I love it. I wake up every day loving what I do. I love the idea of being able to turn $10 into $100 and just flip stuff. The idea of that is just so tantalizing to me. I think that's the word. But yeah, so family-run garage sales, you're going to find these on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist, and then local signs too. I know depending on your area, you can have local signs on busy streetways or busy corners. So you're going to look for those places, and yeah. Give me a sec. I need to blow my nose. All right. So yeah, you're gonna use Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist to find garage sales. They both have a feature where you can find garage sales within the app, and then you could do the same thing you could do the same thing that you did on estatesales.net. So you're gonna use the app to find garage sales that you find is interesting, and you're gonna get there. Yeah, that's basically the main difference between professional run garage sales and family run garage sales. Actually, something you really need to focus on here, and something I forgot to say, is that you need to also remember location is super important. So for me, when I'm home, I live near New Jersey, and New Jersey is one of the most popular places for estate sales on net garage sales. Within one weekend, you could see over like 200 garage sales that are listed on the app. And this is very different from where I go to school. Where I go to school, I'm lucky to see one garage sale in a weekend on estate sales on net. So when I'm at school, I have to focus on using Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist. And then when I'm home, I'm not using Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist basically at all, and I'm just focusing almost all my attention on estatesales.net. Yeah, that's basically the main difference. You know, you're gonna see higher end items at professional and garage sales. You're gonna be able to spend more money to make more money. So if you're doubling your money on a $200 item, as opposed to like a $5 item at family owned garage sale, which is more common, you're gonna be able to take more money at professional and garage sales in most cases. But again, it's based off your location too. You know, if you don't have professional and garage sales on estatesales.net listed within your area, there's nothing really you could do. You know, you could drive a certain distance, but at some point, it's not reasonable to be driving like 2 to 3 hours just to get to a garage sale. Because we're going to talk about timing later, and timing is crucial when it comes to garage sales. We'll get into that. But yeah, if you're living 3 hours away from any professional garage sale, most of the time it's not going to be worth your time to be driving that far unless there's something there that's spectacular and you can make a ton of money off it. And yeah, let me get into the next point, which is, okay, we talked about that. So the basics of garage sales. And okay, so with professional and garage sales, the thing you might not realize is that timing is super important, and people are getting to garage sales early and earlier each year. So getting into garage sale on time means you are way late. Getting into a garage sale where there's good pictures listed on estatesales.net, you can expect that people were getting there 2 to 3 hours early, and even earlier depending on some sales. I was at a sale that was just 2 weekends ago, and I got there over 5 hours early because I found something that I really wanted in the pictures, and I knew other people would do the same, and I actually got there first. But you need to be getting there early. So with an estatesales.net sale, and most of these other sales, people are doing the same thing as you. They're looking at the pictures, they're seeing what's valuable, and based off that, they're going to determine that they're going to either go to this sale or that sale. But there's going to be competition with most of these sales because other people are doing the same thing as you. So how this works and how the number system works and how you're going to be able to get into the house is through what am I talking about? One sec. Through a number system. So when you get there, there's either going to be, if you're the first person there, you're going to start the list yourself, but most of the time, if you're not the first person there, there'll already be a list started by someone else. So there'll be a list of names of who got there first. So you're going to have a list of names, and then based off of that, that's how you're going to get into the house. So usually for most houses, the first 10 to 15 people there who have signed their name on the list are going to be the ones getting into the house. It depends on how big the house is. So I know some houses are smaller, so they're going to let in 5 people, and some houses are way bigger, so they're going to let in 15, 20. It depends on the size of the house and who's running the sale. So the number system is in some places, and my nose. All right, nose. The number system is in some places, and the number system is basically when someone gets there and they have a bunch of different numbers. So if you're, the third person to get there, you're gonna get number 3, and they call people based on the numbers. So they're gonna call number 3, and if you have number 3, you're gonna go in. As opposed to the name system, you basically put your name on a sheet and then they call the name. There's no real difference. Same thing. It's just some areas have that and some areas don't. Depending on your area, that's gonna be the case. But what was I gonna say? Sorry, it's not easy to talk for this long. I'm starting to realize. Getting there first, yeah. Sorry, drink more and more water. Getting there first means you're going to have to start the list yourself. So the big thing about getting there first is that if you get there first, you do have to stay with the list, as most unwritten rules go to say. So you can't just put your name down on the list first and leave. You can do this, but most of the time that won't be honored. And when the time goes around to let people into the house, these professional companies will just say, hey, you weren't here for the past 2 hours. The sale, you got here at 6 a.m. and left while other people were here waiting. It's just an unwritten rule that you can't do that. It may work for you, it may not, but 99% of the time, if you're running your name down, you need to stay there with the list or the numbers so you can put other people's name down on the list. So yeah, if you get there first, you have to stay with the list. That's an unwritten rule, but you should follow it. Okay, so going based off timing, I want to talk about how the first 5 minutes of any sale is the most crucial. So you may think that getting to a sale on time, like I said, is okay, but no. The reason why people are getting there so early, the reason why people are lining up 3 hours early to get into a garage sale is because within the first 5 minutes of a garage sale happening, that's when the most important stuff and the most valuable stuff is going to be going. So within the 5 minutes of the sale opening, that's when people are going to grab the stuff that are super cheap and have super high profit margins. So you can usually expect that after the first 5 minutes, there's going to be, a decent majority of the stuff that you might have wanted is gone. Especially if it's super desirable, you're gonna see super desirable and super well priced. If it's desirable and well priced, there's a good chance that if you don't get there first, it's gonna be gone. Someone else is gonna be thinking the same thing, and they're gonna be reselling it, and that could be gone. So getting there early is basically a necessity if you're being serious about reselling. So getting there early, making sure that you're in the first wave, because if you're not in the first wave of 5 to 10 people, like I said before, they only let a certain number of people into the house. So if you're not in that first wave of people in, you're gonna be waiting outside for a while. And like I said, if you're not in the first wave of 5 to 10 minutes, you're basically not gonna be guaranteed much profit at all. There is still profit to be made. Don't be discouraged do be discouraged. It is a learning lesson to know when to get there early. I've made many mistakes before where I was like, hey, sale, I'll be able to get there an hour early and I'll be able to get in the first wave. But in reality, I should have got there 2 hours early. And because I got there an hour early, I got on the second wave and didn't get what I want. So you need to learn that sacrificing an extra hour of, not sleep, but like, sacrificing an extra hour of sleep. So getting there at, 6 a.m. It sale starts at 8 a.m. Could help you make an extra like $200 to $300. So that extra hour that you're sacrificing basically can make you an extra $200 an hour. So you got to think of it that way, and that's the way I think of it. It's a lot more easy to understand. It's hard sometimes being like, okay, why am I getting to a garage sale 3 hours early? But when you think, hey, me getting there 3 hours early could be the difference between me making $0 and losing money from gas, or making $300 off this one item. I would say as a good rule of thumb, what I tend to do for most garage sales, I'm usually driving close to an hour to a garage sale. So I want to be getting there an hour and a half early to 2.5 hours early, depending on how good the sale is and how good the items look. For most cases, I will get there around 2 hours early with garage sales, depending on how far it is and how good the items look that I want. I will get there, sometimes 3 hours early. It doesn't guarantee they're going to get there first. There's some people that will get there 5 hours early because they see the same thing you're looking at, and they know, well, if I can make $400 off this item, it's going to be worth it for me to get there 4 hours early. So it does come to a point where you're like, it's not worth it to get there 7 hours early or 8 hours early, but you need to gauge on how much profit you think you can make, how much you think they're going to be asking, and gauge that off how early you want to get there. So I would say a good rule of thumb is an hour is the minimum. And I would say 2 hours is probably average. So that's basically timing with garage sales. Timing is everything. I like to say, if you're there on time, you are late. 2 hours is the average, and an hour is the minimum. So starting off, picking a niche, super important. Like I said before, everyone knows something. Everyone is an expert of something. If it's video games, cameras, computers, supplements, gym equipment, couches, furniture, antiques. There's countless and almost like innumerable amount of categories of stuff you can resell. It's actually crazy to think about. But everyone's an expert within their own niche, and everyone does collect something. Like everyone has everyone's an enthusiast of something and knows more than someone else, is better than the average person at something else, or how do I say this? Knows more than the average person about specific topics. So again, like I said, if you're a hiker, you're going to know which brands are high end, which brands are crap, which brands are really cheap. So if you see hiking equipment that retails for $100, $200, if you see that at a sale for a reasonable price, you're going to be the first person to pick that up. It doesn't take any research or mistake to learn that that's worth money. You already know from past experiences. You bought that before. You've been hiking before. You know it's a good brand. You know other people are going to use it and stuff like that. So you have an idea of how much it sells for. So picking a specific niche you want to get into first is a good idea, and picking a niche that you already know is a great idea. So when you're first going off garage selling and you're going to garage sales, you're going to want to pick something you already know. Like I said, so if you're a hiker, focus on hiking equipment. Hiking equipment maybe not the most common thing you're going to find in a garage sale, but you do. And again, you're going to know more than the person next to you most of the time, which is a big advantage. If you know a lot about electronics, you're someone who's been into electronics your whole life, you're going to know what PC parts are worth money, you're going to know what headphones are worth money, you're going to know a lot more than the next person next to you, or most of the time. Okay, so we're going to get into basically the bread and butter of garage sales, and that's looking up an item when you're at a garage sale. So looking up an item is basically how you're going to know if it's worth money or not. So just because you're a full-time reseller, you're not going to have like an infinite knowledge base of what's worth money. Even after 3 years, I do have a good idea of being able to look at something and have an idea of how much it's worth without having to look it up. But there's millions and millions of different items out there on eBay, and you're not going to have a specific knowledge on everything and how much everything is worth. So looking up an item is your best friend, and it's super easy with the eBay app. So if you don't have the eBay app, you're going to want to download the eBay app and start off right now by going around your house and searching up for stuff with a barcode. So if you go around your house and you grab something, you see there's a barcode on it, you could scan that barcode and see how much it's selling for on eBay. So if you want to see how much something is selling for, you go over to filter, which is on the top right, and then scroll down to sold, and you'll see all the completed sales for how much that is sold in the past. So going around your house right now and figuring out how to do that is a great introduction to figuring out how to do it. So when you get into a sale, you're not like, oh, well, how do I do it? I've never done this before. And then, it's also kind of stressful being at a garage sale. Your heart is racing. So having an idea of how to find or research an item is probably the most important basic tool that you need to know. Without knowing how much it sells for on eBay, you're basically taking an educated guess unless you know that you bought that item before. So knowing how to research an item on eBay is super important. Looking up an item, you're going to want to also look up the name, because not all things have a barcode. So the barcode is basically the easiest way you can look up an item. The camera app on the eBay, so if you go into the search bar and click the camera icon, you're going to be able to scan any barcode like this and scan it. It's super easy, and it's going to bring up everything that's listed under that barcode, and then you're going to be able to find the sold. But some items don't have a barcode, used items that have a barcode. The most common things that do have a barcode, though, are new in the box stuff, or books have a lot of barcodes. So looking up an item based on name. So something I have right here, if I saw this at a garage sale, I would show you. I'm trying to make sure this is in focus. Okay, whatever. Okay, it's called the Vitamin K2 MK7. It's a pretty long name, pretty annoying to type in, but you're gonna search in, basically any keywords you can see on the name. This is something that I thought was valuable. I know supplements are big, and I knew people pay up for supplements. I bought them before, but I also know, because I take supplements myself, so I'm using the idea that I've not taken these supplements, but I saw that they looked higher end, and I was like, hey, let me look these up. Let me see, I knew they're asking $50 for a bunch of them, and I was like, let's look them up. So I saw that they're called Andrew Lessman's Vitamins K2, sold for like $70. So I was like, whoa, let me look up the rest. And I figured out that they're worth over $500 for everything. So there's like 10 bottles in total, 9 bottles in total, and they're worth $500. So at $50 is a no-brainer to buy. I knew I could make, close to $400 in profit just off supplements. There's so many different things you wouldn't expect to be worth money that are actually worth a lot of money. I don't say that's the biggest thing. Don't be afraid when you're first starting out to search up almost everything. You have time. Time is on your side when you're a beginner. You could spend 2 to 3 hours just searching up stuff within a house to get an idea of what's worth money and what's not. So it's super important that you just look up things that you might not think at first are worth money, just so you get an idea of what is worth money. You're not going to be able to. I wouldn't know that specifically Andrew Lessman's vitamins or supplements are worth money if I didn't search it up. But now, next time I walk into a sale, I'm going to know without even having to look it up. If I see Andrew Lessman's supplements, I'm just going to grab them because I know that they're worth $50 at least each. So yeah, looking up stuff is super important. I would never recommend going in blind to an item unless you have prior knowledge onto it. So if I saw something like if I saw these supplements and he's asking $50, I'm not buying them without looking them up. Unless again I have prior knowledge. Unless I've taken Andrew Lessman supplements before and I've paid, they retail close to $200. So unless I knew that before, I would not recommend going blind to something. I've made most of my mistakes going that way. I've got like too happy about seeing an item, like, oh, if I saw like a camera or a Canon, I'm like, well, I know I paid $400 for my camera. This Canon must be worth $100. But if it's a different model, different year, different make, condition is huge. So do look up stuff before you buy it. That's another thing I want to get into. Condition is key. I would say the biggest mistakes that I've made through my reselling career is just being sloppy on condition. So looking at a box of video games for take and not realizing that a lot of them didn't even have the discs in them. I was just too hesitant to buy. Like I knew that the games would be worth a lot of money, so I was really excited. Like the deal was good, but I ended up losing money because most of the games that were higher end didn't have the discs in them, making them basically worthless. And I've learned throughout my years to check everything. Check if the camera's working, check if the video games are in the box, check if pages of books have been ripped out. It's crazy what you could see in garage sale, but these are people's used items. Most of the time they're not new. Condition is key when it comes to reselling. Condition determines the price of so many of the items you buy, so it's super important to figure out the condition of the item before you buy it. Check if everything's working, check if the cameras are like the item turns on, try to plug it in. Basically do anything you can to figure out the condition. That's basically what I'm trying to say. That's something I've learned throughout the past 3 years. I wouldn't have known to do that in the beginning, and I've made most of my mistakes that way. So something I want to share with you guys quick is the 5 most competitive niches. So basically there are niches that tend to be more popular than others based on like how much they resell for and the demand online. So the 5 most popular and competitive niches to get into are video games, sports cards, gold, silver, and jewelry, and antiques. So these are 5 niches that are super competitive right now. Video games are ridiculously competitive. I'll be getting to garage sales that aren't really like that have maybe $50 worth of video games which basically isn't worth anything. Like $50. If I'm not going to a garage sale if I only know there's $50 worth of stuff there. But I'll be going there, passing by or something, and I'll ask for video games. I'll show you guys the importance of the ask at a garage sale, but not right now. I'll ask for video games, and they'll tell me I've been like the 4th person to ask when I know the video games are worth like $50. Usually that's not common for any other niche. So video games are something that I wouldn't focus too much attention on if you're getting into reselling. They are very common. A lot of houses do have video games, but don't just go specifically looking for video games at garage sales, I would say, because they're so competitive. There's 100% still money to be made, but again, if you're getting to a garage sale 3 hours early and people have already asked for video games that are only worth like $50, it's not worth it. They're just too popular right now. They're not too popular to not make money, but don't put 100% of your attention into video games. Personally, I am a video game professional, I would say, and that's my area of expertise I'm greatest in. I played video games my whole life. I've had a really good idea of video games, and when I first started off reselling, it wasn't so hot, it wasn't so competitive. It definitely was still competitive, but nothing like it is today. Sports cards, gold and silver, vinyls, antiques, these are all just high ticket items that have a decent amount of competition. Not something that should shy you away. Again, if you've been collecting jewelry your whole life or something like that, it's still a good area to get into, but I would just say those are the 4 other most competitive categories. Let's see. So these two kind of go together. So the first thing I have is how to branch out from one niche to another niche, and then the other thing I have is just said don't be afraid to make mistakes, which is my biggest motto, I think, when I buy. So how to branch out from other niches is kind of interesting. Like I said before, everyone has their own specific niche, something that they know more than the other person standing next to them about, whatever it is. But branching out can be kind of hard. You do have to be looking up a lot of stuff. Like I said, um, like if you're branching out and you see, oh, well, I know Andrew Lessman supplements are worth a lot of money. That's you branching out. That's you learning more about something else. And branching out means like you have a knowledge base of what's it worth. Like I said before, next time I go to a sale, I see Andrew Lessman, I'm buying it. It's basically at the right price. I'm going to know more than the guy next to me. I guarantee you I'm in the top 1% of people who know about Andrew Lessman's supplements and supplements in general when it comes to reselling. So, I can almost guarantee when it comes to garage sales, if I walk into a house and I see Andrew Lessman supplements, I will know more than anyone else there because I bought them. I mean, they are pretty rare, but that's how it goes. Branching out is just taking risks, taking risk on items, looking stuff up. That's how you're going to branch out. You're going to branch out by looking stuff up, and that's probably the most important thing. Next up, like I said before, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Making mistakes is the biggest thing that I did actually from the start. From the start, I wasn't afraid to make mistakes, and I think that's the reason why I've been able to grow so much quicker than my competition. So, I mean, at 19 years old, making 100 grand is pretty easy for me, or close to 100 grand is pretty easy for me, but it's because of what I did early on and how I branched out so quickly. Like I said before, the more you know, the more money you're going to make, and that's super important to keep in your head. The more you know, the more you are going to make. So don't be afraid to make mistakes. So if you have something that you can't find or look up for some reason, the biggest thing I could say is don't be afraid to buy it. If it's at the right price and you have a good idea that it could be worth more, like you could make money on it, there's really no like downfall as long as it's not a significant chunk of change for you. It's important to make mistakes and branch out. Like, I'm not advising you to go spend, money you don't have on chances, basically, on stuff at garage sales. Like, if they have something that you can't find listed, like, for $500 and you think it might be worth $1,000 because of A or B, C, whatever reason, no, like, you should have substantial information and knowledge about how much it resells before you go out and buy it. Before you go out and buy it, that's super important. Like, you do have to have an idea or intuition about how much it's worth, but you do need to be making educated risks when it comes to buying things. Maybe if I saw these Andrew Lessman supplements and I saw that they were worth, if I didn't have the time to look up every single one and something like that, you do have to take risks on things like that, branch out. That's something that people are super niche specific, and I think that's part of the reason why I was able to grow so much, is that I wasn't niche specific when it came to video games. I was able to realize that competition was rising within video games. I could branch out to other things like electronics, stereo equipment, headphones, perfumes, vintage antiques, stuff like that. Like, I was able to branch out so fast because I was able to make these mistakes and learn that this is worth money and this isn't worth money. And I think that's the biggest reason why I was able to grow. And that's something you really need to keep in mind. I already said this before. I have it written down. The hustle mindset is something that I hate. It sounds pretty cringy to say, but it's true. You do need to have a hustle mindset. Working for yourself is a great thing if you have the right mindset. If you think you can work for yourself and work 2 hours a day, that's not how it works. You still need to put in the time, especially when you're learning. You got to pay your dues when it comes to reselling. You need to put in the work to know and do research on what's worth money, what's not. Like I said, when you're first starting out, you need to pay your dues. You need to maybe be at a garage sale for 4 or 5 hours researching what's at the house. Maybe you're not going to buy anything, but if you go through all the books at a house, maybe a house has 500 books and you spend 2-3 hours going through all the books, you're going to have a knowledge base of 99, a bigger knowledge base than 99% of the population on what books are worth money just by spending 4 to 5 hours researching books at a garage sale. So that's something I did. I spent so many hours. It's actually pretty embarrassing when I first started out reselling, because I just loved it, and I knew I was learning. So you need to hustle, and you can't be afraid. You can't be afraid to put in the hours. You need to have the right mindset. You can't be lazy. That's basically all I have for part 1. We're gonna be moving on to part 2. I need to get more water. But in part 2, I'm going to be explaining basically the basics of eBay. I've taught you guys the basics of garage sales and how to find stuff at garage sales, how to use what you know already to buy stuff, and how you can branch out to buy more. And basically, the biggest thing that I didn't say when it comes to garage sales is that everything snowballs. Everything compounds. Your knowledge compounds like crazy. It's actually crazy that I'm able to walk into houses um, that 3 years ago I would have been completely unaware of the value that was in the house. But now I'm able to walk into a house and it's actually like I could run around and just grab things, knowing, hey, if they have this marked $20, I know it sells for 100 online. And just like that, the act of you grabbing that item for $20 just makes you $80 like that. I think the idea of being able to make money like that is so fascinating, and it's so awesome to be able to take money like that. And it's just the idea of the treasure hunt, and that keeps me coming back and keeps me so engaged with reselling and just excited for what's to come. I'm always I'm refreshing my eBay to see what's sold. I'm refreshing estatesales.net to see new sales that are listed. It's fun. Like, I could say without a doubt, I love what I do for a living, and that's something I don't think most people would say. I think most people are sadly miserable within their jobs. I think most people want to say that they love what they do, but they can't. And I'm just really grateful that I was able to find what I love to do, wake up every day and work for myself too. I don't have to be under the will of somebody else. I choose my own hours. I work for myself, and yeah, I think that's one of the coolest things I could ever. Like, 5 years ago, I never thought I'd be able to say that I'm able to make $100,000 a year reselling stuff from garage sales on eBay, working for myself. That's awesome. That's like truly something that I'm so grateful to have. And yeah, I want to show you guys part 2 about the eBay basics. So let's jump into it. Alright guys, welcome to part 2 of the video. I'm just looking back now and I realized how kind of shit quality that last video was. Not the content itself, but the actual image quality was pretty poor. Set up my camera in a new angle, so that probably has something to do with it. But sorry for that. Gonna try another take at it soon enough. So but yeah, you made it this far, so you probably didn't care. But yeah, now we're gonna jump into the eBay basics of how you actually list items, how you create an account on eBay, and how that's gonna work, how shipping works, how feedback works, how to list an item, how to write titles, how to write descriptions. I'm gonna jump into all photos. Let's see what else. We're gonna figure out why you want to do an auction versus buy it now, how to determine shipping prices, everything you need to know about eBay, and how to list items on eBay. So first thing you want to do, if you don't have an account already, you're going to want to set up an eBay account. So setting up an eBay account is actually really easy. You just have to download the eBay app or go down to the eBay website and set up an account there. Basic username, password type stuff. I don't have to tell you how to set up an account. I guess you know how to do that. But yeah, so once you have an account set up, I'm going to get into the basics of what you need to know in order to list everything that you have bought. Garage sales is the first half and eBay's the second half. I do like to say though, I definitely find the first half of reselling a lot more fun. Going to garage sales is the fun part of my job and my life. It's a lot more fun. Your heart's racing. You never know what you're gonna find. Competition's pretty high, and eBay on the other hand, although it's okay, I'm working for myself, so there's kind of like pride behind what I do. It's not the same, it's a lot of boring, mundane tasks of doing the same thing over and over, but you do end up getting into a groove a lot of the times, and that's the big thing I would say with eBay listings. It is tedious work. You're doing the same thing over and over and over again for almost hours on end sometimes, depending on how many items you have. But you get into grooves. You find you can listen to music or maybe even watch videos. Sometimes I do that. But yeah, it's not the end of the world, but it is the more tedious, mundane part of reselling. Listing is probably the bane of, I would say, most people's existence on reselling categories. No one who's a reseller is like, wow, can't wait to get home and list. The only fun part of listing is the making the money part and seeing the money go into your account. But listing itself, not too fun. It's pretty tedious in the fact that there's so many things you need to get right. It's not hard once you get used to it, but you do need to be paying attention. There's so many different descriptions that you need to keep care of, and you want to go as fast as possible. Like, you want to get as many items listed accurately as possible within like an hour or whatever, however long you want to list. So you want to do it accurately and fast, and you need to find that balance. So finding that balance is super important, because you need to be accurate with what you are listing. You need to have proper titles, proper condition tests, proper auctions versus buy nows. You don't want to rush and price your item so high it's never going to sell and just sit in your inventory for the rest of its life, or you don't want to price it so cheap that you're just going to be leaving money on the table. So we're going to jump into the first thing, which I want to get into, is how to list an item. So go back to this book I have right next to me. We are going to pretend that I'm trying to sell this book on eBay and list it. So the first thing we're going to do, I've told you guys this already, is you are going to open up the eBay app, and you're going to use the barcode function or search up the name of the item that you have. And once you have that in there, you're going to see and look for any similar listings. So right now I have this book called .com Secrets. Right here, .com Secrets. So if I was trying to sell this book, I would put it into eBay or scan the barcode probably and see that there's hundreds of other sellers selling the same exact thing. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to click on the listing that you have. Same, like if there's hundreds of the same listing, you click on any one. Doesn't really matter. Try to find one with a good title. Make sure there's no special editions or something like that has in the title, or try to figure that out if it's if there's something similar within the item that your item's similar to the other listings. So if there's hundreds of listings, just pick one. Try to make sure it's similar, and when you click on the listing, you scroll down about halfway down the page. There's an option called sell similar, and this is what you're going to want to be doing for 99% of your items. 99% of your items, there is going to be similar sold comp or a similar item sold to this. So a similar sold comp for this book would be the exact same copy. There's thousands and almost probably a million. I don't know how many copies. There's a lot of copies that I can copy. You can't copy the exact listing. That's actually against eBay's guidelines. So you do want to tweak it up a little bit. I found that out recently. I've been doing it for a while, so there's no real downside to copy people's listings. But I actually just found out you're not supposed to. I don't think there's any. You're not gonna get in trouble or anything like that. I would say lean against it. So I have this book. I'm going to press sell similar on the eBay app, and it's going to bring up the same exact listing, like a listing template for this book. So it's going to have .com Secrets by with Russell Brunson, and then basically you're going to put into all the keywords that you're going to have. So if I'm listing this book, I would say .com Secrets by Russell Brunson, maybe even the tagline, the underground playbook for growing your company online. Maybe put that in if you have enough words. Try to describe your item as well as possible. So right now, if I'm listing again the Lessman vitamins, I would say Lessman vitamins and describe what they are. They're vitamins K2 MK7 with 120 mcgs. I don't know what that is. And there's 480 capsules in here. So you're writing that all in the title, so you can give the buyer a good idea without having to go into your listing and what they're getting. That's really important. Giving the buyer a clear image and a good description in the title is perfect, and that's what's gonna make you stand out from other buyers who are selling the same thing. I mean, at the end of the day, it comes down to the price for most of these buyers. They're gonna go for the cheapest option, while still getting what they want. They're not gonna go if they want a new item most of the time, unless their used price is a big difference. They're still gonna go for the new item. Especially in a case like this, most people don't want to buy used supplements, so they're gonna go for the cheapest price. And we're gonna get into how to price your items, but title is super important. You're gonna want to be descriptive as possible. Use as many of those characters as possible. There's an 80 character limit. Do your best to limit not limit. Do your best to use as many words as possible. So again, if I'm listing something like I have a Blue Yeti microphone next to me, Blue Yeti microphone black, Blue Yeti microphone black. Maybe say the second edition, because there's two different models. So I'd say Blue Yeti microphone black second edition. Use as many keywords as possible and what someone might keep searching up. So yeah, titles super important. That's how people are gonna find you. If you use some really whack keywords, people are not gonna find your listing. That's something you gotta figure out right away. So if I have this book, .com Secrets, and you search and you put in the title as entrepreneurship book, no one's gonna find your listing, and then it's not gonna sell. So make sure you have the right title That's something that's super important. Especially it's a little more difficult when it comes down to trying to make sure I'm still recording. But a little bit difficult when you come down to more niche specific things. Like if you have antiques that you don't know the name of, sometimes it's hard to research. But um, researching to find similar items is something that takes time. It's not easy. It's a skill you have to have, and it grows over time, just like anything else. So something like antiques is very hard. That's like not very easy to start off with as antiques because again, like if you have a chandelier or something like that, you bought a chandelier or candlesticks or something like that. Sometimes there's no name, so it's like you kind of have to know what century or company produced it. And a lot of times that only comes with like doing that for a very long time. I'm just starting to get into that now. Like if I see a chandelier, I'll be like, okay, I know it's from the 30s or 40s, and then I'll know what manufacturers were producing chandeliers during that time, and so on and so forth. But if you're not, a better reseller, you're not going to know that. So that's something to also keep in mind if you're looking to get into antiques or something like that. Maybe antiques is the easiest thing to start off with. Because if you have an antique and something like that, you're gonna be like, it's very hard to put in like keyword like antique candlestick because there's millions. There's people who are looking for specific antique candlesticks on eBay. No one's just going to like just search up antique candlestick. They're gonna have a brand, model, and like something in mind they're looking for already. No one's, I don't think. I mean, there's still a possibility your thing could sell, but the best case scenario is that you put in as many keywords as possible that you have. Something like, again, candlestick. You could put in antique candlestick bronze with tigers, if there's tigers, or another detail along the side of it, or antique sterling silver candle set of 12 or something like that. As much description as you could give is what's going to help your item get listed to the top of the search results and sell. So how to gauge the condition of your item. Sorry, I'm still doing the bullet list thing. But yeah, so we're going to go down the list. We got gauge condition of the item. So like I said before, this is really niche specific too. Like something like our vitamins over here. These are brand new sealed. Super easy to tell what kind of condition there are. They're sealed. If you can see I don't know if it's I don't know if you can see the seal. But what? There's a seal around that, so it's like no brainer. That's sealed. You can list it as brand new. But something like a video game. There's a problem with video games that I have a lot of the times is that I don't have a tester myself, and testing, if you're listing like 50 or 60 video games, testing each and every single video game for each console isn't really worth it. So a lot of the times I just have to guess the condition. You have to look for scratches and you have to guess if it's working. It's a little bit of a hassle to do, and most of the time I do have to end up just listing something as like for parts or as is, because I don't know if it works or not, and I'm selling used items. Like I don't, these aren't my items. I wasn't like playing with them as a kid, so it's like I'm putting my trust that the person I bought them from works, and a lot of the time you can't do that. A lot of the time you gotta look at the condition of the item and just gauge based off that whether it's new, brand new, pre-owned, used. I mean, you're gonna be able to see pretty easily. There's different categories you can use. Brand new is most of the time pretty clear cut. If it's new in the packaging, it's brand new. Some other complicated things, if it's open box, there's a lot of controversy within eBay on this. Is that open box, what does it mean? Because a lot of times if you're taking pictures of an item, technically you're opening the box, but you're just opening the box for the item, like to take the pictures. So a lot of the times people will be listing things open box or new, even though it's open box, because they're just taking it for the pictures, but then it's still new. There's a thin line or a gray area between that. So, if it's out of the packaging, like if there's original packaging in the box, I like to, if the item is still within the original packaging of the box and I still have everything in the original packaging, that's new to me. But you actually have to use your own discretion. If you see, other listings go, open box are significantly less. You got to think about maybe not taking out of the box to take pictures, because you might damage you could damage also like the packing materials that was in there. So you have to gauge whether it's worth to take out of the box sometimes, because it does decrease the value. People do realize that you did take it out of the box to take the pictures, although you didn't use it or anything. So that is a gray area. You got to put that into your own discretion. It's not really a one basis thing. There's millions of different items, so you have to use your own discretion, and that comes with time. And you're gonna be able to look at other people's listings to see whether they listed as new or they listed it as open box. And most of the time, you'll be able to tell whether it's open box or new. But that's something you'll gauge a lot, or you'll be able to get a lot better with as time goes on. The other thing is like sometimes you don't know if things work. Like I said, a lot of things I buy are electronics. So I besides video games, I specialize in electronics, and a lot of the time I am able to test a lot of electronics I buy. But sometimes I can't. So you gotta sometimes, if you have something that's seriously broken, like you could see you have a phone, you bought a phone and it's cracked or doesn't turn on, whatever, you could sell it as is or for parts. There's a category under condition. It's the first category within the description, and you can go right there. And if something's seriously broken, you just list it as for parts. It's gonna definitely decrease the cost. What is it? Definitely gonna decrease the valuation or how much your item's worth. But sometimes you could still get decent money for parts. But condition is key for everything, especially like collectible things. Condition is the king. You need to have really good condition to get the prices that you think you can. So, a lot of times you can look something up and be like, whoa, this baseball card sells for $50. But then you realize that baseball card sells for $50 in like near mint condition, or like basically looks like it's brand new. And the one you have looks like it just got stepped on. So yours might be worth $10 instead of $50 and you paid $20. So condition is really key. Like I said before, you need to be looking at the items before you buy them, figure out what kind of condition it is and what kind of condition yours might sell in, because there's a big difference on a lot of collectibles, from like pretty beat up stuff to like new stuff. So condition is something that you gotta gauge yourself. There's no one basis for every single item. So just look through your item, look through similar solds, and get an idea of what you have and what condition it is, and if it works or not, because that's super important. If it works or not is something that you really can't just mess around with. You can't say it works if you didn't test it. So a lot of people do that. A lot of people say they've tested it, and the buyer will know by if it works or not. They're the person paying. I do come to realize that if I'm someone who's listing $1,000 train and someone's paying $1,000 for this train, they probably know a lot more about this train than I do. My buy cost was whatever, like maybe $200, $300 for this train, and I'm just reselling it. Someone is going out there and searching up a train for $1,000 and actually buying it. I'm gonna guess or assume that they are the expert of trains. You are not you're a serious train collector or whatever if you're buying $1,000 train. So you have to be really serious when you list. You can't just mess around and say this item's new when it's not. People, especially with more niche, super collectible stuff, there's experts out there who will pick you apart when it comes to your listing, especially if they get it and it's not as you said it was. I've had this happen to me a lot. Definitely as a newbie lister, I listed things that I thought were in great condition, and I get them back and get them returned because someone would be like, if you think this is good condition, you should be kicked off eBay, because they're super high-end collectors who basically are the top end of collectors, and they were looking for the exact model they want. They're spending thousands of dollars on collectibles. They're going to be looking for the exact thing they want. They're not going to stand for anything else, especially if they're paying that kind of money. This is very true with more high-end stuff. If it's a $10, $20 item, it's not going to be super, like, it's still super important, but I would definitely say with more collectible stuff, be as descriptive as possible, because we're going to jump into description right now. Descriptions are a great way to describe any flaws that your item has. So again, if I'm on the topic of trains, trains are something great to resell, great to look into, and honestly good to start with. It's not that super common, but trains are something really good to get into. But I'll use the example of trains to describe how descriptions work. So if I have a train and the train is selling for $100 online, the train's selling for $100 online, but the train that was selling for $100 had the smoker at the top. So there's smokers at the top, and mine doesn't. Mine got broken off or whatever, or didn't come with it, and that's something that you need to keep in mind. You can't just take the picture and hope that the buyer realizes there's no smoker on top, because if the buyer gets it and then realizes it, you're getting a return and you're going to lose out a bunch of money, lose out a bunch of time. Returns are a big enemy of yours. Something that may happen is you might get a partial refund too, but still, the best thing you can do is just be as descriptive as possible. Write in the description right away, whatever flaws or unique characteristics that your item has. So a lot of the times with stuff like I'm just gonna go back to the example of the vitamins. These are pretty clear cut. There's no unique flaws or anything like that to this. You don't need to write anything in the description most of the time. You can just write the title. That's what I do most of the time. If I have something clear cut like this, it's vitamins. There's no unique characteristics. I'm gonna put the title of what I have right into the description, and that helps me list really fast. Some people do like to put super descriptive details of the description, and I think that's honestly just a waste of time in my opinion. I'm able to get through so many listings just by copy and pasting. A lot the eBay template actually just does it for you. It just puts the title into the description, and a lot of the times people tell like people will literally tell stories within the descriptions of like how this Dr. Lessman supplement saved my life. Like no one really cares. No one's really looking at the description for your story. In my opinion, I mean I've seen big sellers put a lot of time in the descriptions, but personally I do not. So maybe do some more research, but personally I do not think it's worth it. I'm able to get through so many more listings just by being as concise as possible, putting the unique flaws in. Like I said, if you're dealing with something like antiques, which is a lot more unique, let's say you have an antique clock. Your antique clock might be a different, although it's the same antique clock as one of their listed, it might be from a different manufacturing date. It might have been there's 2 special models of it, and one chimes every 30 minutes instead of the hour. These are things you need to be writing in the description. Figuring out, okay, well, there's on the antique clock as well, there's supposed to be one leg here and chip. You need to be writing that, take pictures of that, and that's what we're going to jump into next. We're going to jump into pictures. Pictures are arguably one of the most important things within a listing. You're going to be taking photos of each item that you have right on your phone. So your phone's an easy way, and it has a really powerful camera that can take clear pictures. So taking clear pictures is the key to getting your item sold over another item. I think the biggest thing that attracts buyers to your listing is clean photos, and then also having a decent number of photos. So having clear photos is one of the easiest things you could do, but it's also very easy to mess up. A lot of people will have messy backdrops. I'm not going to be listing something with the backdrop I have right now with Arnold's in the back and that light. I'm going to be trying to, actually, I have a light box which I purchased, $100 light box from Amazon, and I use it every single day. It's a white backdrop with lights on top, and it takes really clear photos, but you don't need that right when you start out. You can just use, a clear wall in the background, but it's clear. Yeah, it's clear, but no clutter. I'm not listing something right here. There's so much stuff in the background. It's going to take the buyer's attention away from the item. So yeah, make sure you have a clear background. And if you're serious enough, invest in a light box. Some aren't $100. There's light boxes from like the $50, $100, all the way up to like $1,000. But if you're starting off on a $50, $100 light box, would do you so much good. And I really recommend it. But I understand people also don't want to invest in something right away until they see the results. So photos, super important. I would like to say with photos, something I try to do is just take as many photos as possible without being going overboard. So if I'm listing something like the supplements, you don't really need to take too many photos. They're buying it for the supplement. They're buying it for what's inside. So you just take a photo of maybe the front right here. So I'm gonna try to get that in focus. So you can see I would get a photo of that right there. I'd get a photo of the seal, which is right there, and then maybe get a photo of the back description right there. So maybe like 3-4 photos. One thing I wouldn't do is just take one photo. You can. That's something that might save time, might save 30 seconds here and there. But I think having one photo, to me personally, when I see a listing with one photo, I'm suspicious. I'm like, I don't know. To me, just one photo seems suspicious. 3-4 photos gives the buyer like a complete idea. Okay, this is sealed. This has no dents. This has no marking. I know exactly what I'm getting. And that's even more important with used items. So let's see. I have this book right here. Again, I'm going to go back to this book. So I have this book right here. If I'm taking pictures of this, I'm obviously going to be taking photos of the front. And then right there, so I don't know why or how I did this, but there's like indent in the book. So, the condition isn't great on this. So you're going to want to showing that off. Like obviously, it's gonna hurt the price. No one's gonna be like, oh wow, I'm gonna pick that book because there's a dented page. But if the buyer gets it and is unhappy, returns your item, gives you negative feedback, that's a lot worse than the money you lose out from showing it off. So big thing with pictures: clear, backdrop is clean. Put as many photos as possible. You want to get as many angles. So like something with books, not that important. But I don't have anything close to me that's you need a lot of angles for. Let's see. I don't have anything close to me, but if you're listing a clock, you're gonna want to get bottom angle, show what manufacturer it is, show any dents, show if it's missing a leg, take a picture of that, get a photo of a little bit further away, close up it, anything that you think would like a buyer would be interested in, any flaws, any details, anything that you think a buyer would be interested in, you want to take a picture of it, and the more pictures, the better. Again, don't go overboard. I would say 4 to 5 pictures is good. If you have an expensive item, like I say, if I have an item over $1,000, worth over $1,000, I'm going to try to use all the photos I can, like 12 to 20 photos, just to give the buyer 100% certainty that what I have is authentic, what I have is what I say I have, and there's no discrepancy between what the buyer thinks and what I think. Something we got to jump into is pricing. So pricing is super important. It's like the bread and butter of how much you're gonna get for an item. I gotta stop saying bread and butter, but we're only recording for 24 minutes. Wow. Okay, so it's the bread and butter of how much money you're gonna make. So the big thing with pricing is you do want to be on the cheaper end of stuff, in my opinion. I want to move stuff. I don't want to have a warehouse of stuff. A lot of you guys aren't having a warehouse. I don't have a warehouse. I keep this stuff in my house, and I'm not trying to create a stockpile of stuff. I'm not trying to have a warehouse within my house. I'm trying to keep things clean, organized, and I want to have a high sell-through rate. So when I list stuff, I want to have it gone as fast as possible while still maintaining as much profit as I can. But with that said, if I'm going to be losing out on a couple dollars here and there, I'll definitely pick that side over having the item for double the length of time to gain the dollar or two. So I definitely price on the cheaper side, I would say, which I think is common for most sellers. Most sellers will list their item as the cheapest available. So if I have this book wouldn't be worth to sell, I'll pick the vitamins. So I have the vitamins, and I search them up through in the eBay app that I have, and I scan the barcode, and I see that they're selling online for $60 free shipping. I might list mine for $59 or $60 even, but I want to be either matching or a little bit lower than the lowest listing right now, because no one's going to my listing and seeing that if there's 3 listings and mine's 10% higher in price than the other listings, most of the time they're not going to go for my listing, and it's going to be stuck up there until either I lower the price or there's no other competition. I would say listing your item as low as available is almost always the way to go. Again, this isn't true if there was no new listings. There's only used listings for the vitamin Andrew Lessman. You do obviously want to price higher. So just use your intuition, and based off how much things are selling for, you do want to go for the lowest price available. With that being said, you do want to have a good mix of auctions versus buy it nows. So auctions versus buy it now is big argument and causes big controversy within, I say, the eBay resale community, which is funny to say, but auctions versus buy it now. So for me personally, I like to keep most of my stuff as buy it nows. I reserve auctions for more unique, one-of-a-kind items. So if I don't know the exact value of an item, then I will usually do an auction. But if I have something like my book right here, hundreds of them listed, nobody wants to bid on an item with hundreds of others listed. They're gonna want to buy it now. Someone's going for a book. They're not gonna want to wait 7 days for the auction to end. They want to buy that book now and have it to their house within 3 days. No one's gonna want to wait the 7 days for the auction to end. Maybe get 10% off. It's just not gonna be worth it for them. So something like this, you're gonna want to be doing buy it nows. That's gonna be your best bet. But more unique and more niche specific things, you're gonna want to do buy auctions. Sorry. So with auctions, more unique and specific stuff. So you're gonna have an item that's maybe not listed on eBay right now. So if you have an item that's not listed on eBay and you don't know how much it's worth, it could be anywhere from $100 to $1,000. You don't want to list it at $100 because it might sell automatically, and you could lose out on the 900. You don't want to list it at 1,000 because it might never sell, and then you're just losing out on that money because it's never gonna sell. So when you have something like this, you don't know how much the item's worth. There's no similar solds of like, maybe I had a signed first edition of this book, but there's none other listed. But auctions are your best bet. Auctions are you're gonna let the market basically decide how much your item's worth. So if you have 3 or 4 buyers looking for that item, it's not gonna go for too cheap. It's gonna go basically for how much it's worth. It does usually go for a little bit less than how much it's worth because auctions usually just tend to have people looking for deals. People aren't usually looking to pay 100% of the buy it now price. Most of the time. Sometimes you can get bidding wars. I don't usually have this happen to me. I've heard of this though. Like some items I have this, but most of the time buyers or auctions will end up about 10% lower than their buy it now price. So again, have supplements. These supplements, I think they sell for like $100. If I did an auction starting at $50, I would expect them to go for like $90 at auction. While meanwhile they can go for $100 and buy it now. So something like that, something that are similar sold, I will almost always go for buy it now, and that's what I recommend. Auction style, I would recommend for more unique, more specific stuff, and yeah, that should be it for pricing. Something you do need to keep in mind is offers. Ooh, sorry, I'm so sorry. Offers you're gonna have on most of the time, in my opinion. Some people don't like to have offers. Some people do like to have offers. A lot of stuff is up to preference, and you'll learn over time, maybe within your niche specific thing, that buy it nows are more favorable over auctions, or auctions are actually more favorable over buy it nows in your specific category. And just like offers, there's a little button that says have offers or allow offers, and that's up to buyer's preference, but I would recommend having that on. Most of the items I actually sell are through best offers. So if I have an item listed for $20, someone offers me $18, I'm going to take it. I want to get rid of stuff. Like I said, I'm not in the business of having a warehouse. I'm not in the business of collecting things. I'm in the business of making money and selling things. I want to get rid of it as fast as possible to get new inventory in. Having a good turnover rate of listing stuff to selling stuff is super important. And if I have to take 10% off the item for a buyer, I'm happy to do that if it means I'm getting rid of the item. Especially if I've had the item for a while. If I've had the item for a month or two and it hasn't sold, doesn't have any listings or viewers or watchers, I'm probably going to be a lot more likely to take that offer. But if I just listed the item and the buyer sends me an offer, definitely a lot less likely to take the offer. But it's just something to keep in mind. Probably keep them on. That's the best advice I can give you. All right, I'm sorry about that when recording, but I ran out of storage. I have not recorded for this long ever. I do run out of storage, I guess. But we're gonna jump into feedback. That's where I think I got cut off. Feedback is something super important, and it's basically eBay's trust system, what can differentiate you from a newbie seller, and basically why someone would pick your item over someone else's. So if I have an item listed over a newbie seller, they're definitely gonna pick mine, because especially if it's a more high-end item, they're definitely gonna pick mine because they're gonna want to pick from a buyer who they trust. So eBay has a trust system. So again, eBay is just someone selling. eBay is just the middleman. So there isn't a lot of barrier. There isn't a lot of barriers when it comes to people trying to scam you. People do try to scam you a lot on eBay when you're a newbie too. So it's something you need to be aware of. Having a new account makes you really susceptible to people trying to scam you, people trying to take advantage of you. So need to be careful of that. Common scams are people trying to take you off eBay and pay through Venmo or PayPal. Some of the time people are legit through Venmo or PayPal or whatever, and they are just doing it for another reason. But I would definitely be aware of that as a new seller. And eBay's trust system is basically their way of counteracting people being able to scam you. So eBay's trust system is basically like showing the buyer, hey, this person sold on eBay for 20 years. They have 20,000 feedback. They have over 19,000 good reviews, 99% positive feedback. If you buy from this person, you can basically guarantee that what you see and what you're going to buy is basically what you're going to get. It's going to get there on time, and it's eBay's trust system to show that you're going to be able to get what you paid for. It's super important. A lot of people take super high. What's super high? Why am I blanking? Um, I don't know. A lot of people emphasize feedback. I do. I make sure that all the buyers that I deal with, every transaction I have goes smoothly. If my buyer's not happy, I'm not happy, and I do say that. I have so much pride in what I do. I'm not trying to take advantage of anyone. I want to make sure the buyer's happy. I think that's something that's super important. Makes me really love what I do. I'm really happy when I see people and the buyers that I have are super happy. I just had someone message me the other day with like a huge paragraph of how grateful they were that they received the item, how well it was packed and everything, and it actually it made my day. To see that I was able to turn someone's trash into like genuine happiness from this person. It made me really happy to think that I'm doing that while making myself money. That sounds kind of stupid to say, but it did. It did make me happy to see this other person happy through the most like meaningless thing to me. I was able to be the middleman and take these bears that someone like I would have thrown out if I didn't look them up. But I looked them up and able to see how much they're worth, and someone ended up buying like $300 worth off me, and I got a huge message showing how appreciative they were, and I was really genuinely happy for them, and like that I was able to do that. So feedback, great way to distinguish between newbie buyers, scammers, and real veterans of eBay. Super important to have high feedback. People will not buy from you if you have poor feedback, negative feedback. It's just something to be aware of. It's not easy to do. Selling used items on eBay, you are buying items from garage sales and selling them on eBay without owning them yourself. So maybe you're buying a book like this, and there's 5 pages ripped out in the middle. You're not looking through every page of the book, and I'm not saying there is, but again, there's so many small details that could have happened. There's could be 5 pages ripped out in this book, and I bought it from a garage sale. I don't know. And if I sell that, and there's so many different ways that your item could, as much as like sincere as you are, there's so many ways that you can mess up, and there's sometimes nothing you can do about it. There's sometimes you're gonna send an item out that you think works. It could even get damaged in the shipping process. That happens a lot, and you need to be aware of this. You need to be open with the buyers and communicate with the buyers to make sure that everything's okay. I get a message probably once a day of people saying, "Hey, this item was damaged. This item does not work, and I need a return. I need a partial refund, or I just need an apology." Sometimes people aren't even looking to get their money back. They're just looking to feel like they're not getting taken advantage of, that you didn't send them a broken item. Sometimes they just want to feel, appreciated, I guess. I don't know. Sometimes people will literally just message me being like, "Hey, this item's broke. I'm not looking for a refund or anything. Just like wanted to let you know." I don't know if I received an item that was broke, I'd want a refund or a partial refund. But some people don't want to go through the hassle, I guess. But that goes back to making sure everything you have is in good condition. That's super important. That's the best way to not get returns, not get negative feedback. Because the biggest thing is that when people do get returns, negative feedback sometimes a lot of time does come with it, because they waited 7 days for an item. They were buying this item for a gift, and it came and it was broken, wasn't as it said it was, and that's when you start to receive negative feedback. That's when your seller account starts to go down. And yeah, you need to keep you need to keep positive feedback on your account. You need to keep above like, I think I have a 99.9. I've held that for 3 years. It's not easy. I've had to go through a lot of arguments with eBay too. A lot of times, eBay buyers will give me unwarranted feedback. I'll have to actually go get that removed off eBay because it's not fair. Like, I sold a speaker set for $12. They're worth like $20, but I didn't have the power cable, so I sold them for $12, and I received negative feedback. Although I did put in the description and the pictures that there was no power cable, someone gave me a negative feedback saying there's no power cable. I mean, I put in the description, put it in the photos. There's nothing much else I could do there, but I did receive a negative feedback. Tried to call eBay many times, and that was just one I couldn't get removed. It's not easy dealing with eBay customer service. So you might have to call 5 times, 10 times. I've had to be on eBay customer service for an ungodly amount of time before just to get negatives removed. but I would say it's definitely worth it to do that. If you have unwarranted feedback or unfair feedback from a buyer, and it happens, it happens where someone's trying to take advantage of you, where you ship them an item and maybe it shipped a little bit and it was $100 item and they want a $90 return. Sometimes you can't come to an agreement, and because of that, they're gonna give you negative feedback and slam you, but it's not your fault. Sometimes there's just people on eBay who are out to get you, and you gotta protect yourself, protect your eBay seller rating, and yeah, that's eBay feedback. I would say your biggest tip for eBay feedback is be as positive and as sincere as possible. You don't want to try to cheat people out of money, out of $5 to, take advantage of them, make an extra $5 here and there, because it will come back to bite you. I've done this before. I've tried to nickel and dime people for $5, say something's newer or say something's new when it's used. It comes back to get you. You will get the negatives. Be as sincere as possible. Be as nice as possible to people. You'll get tons of messages, asking about tons of questions about the items. Do your best to respond in timely manners, politely as possible, and just be a genuinely good person on eBay. That's the biggest thing. I see so many people on eBay. They're just not genuinely nice people. They'll just send mean messages. Be like, well, why are you selling this used pair of Nike shoes for $100? There's people out there who can't eat. It's why are you messaging me that? Just keep it yourself. People are just looking for problems on eBay. That's what I've come to realize. And a lot of times you just gotta ignore them. There will be tons of messages like that where people are just looking to start fights, and you could spend hours arguing with the people. I've seen it. I've seen friends just go down that rabbit hole of responding to those messages like that, or people are just looking for attention, or I don't know what it is, but people on eBay look for problems, look for fights, look for arguments, and don't do it. It's not worth your time. It's never worth your time. Just either ignore it. The best thing you can do is ignore it, because you can't actually block people on eBay if they don't buy from you. So the best thing you can do is ignore it. Last thing I want to cover is shipping supplies. When an item sells, you want to ship it as fast as possible, and you want to ship it as well as possible. So well, I mean protected. You want to make sure the item gets there safe and undamaged. And you're gonna need boxes. You're gonna need shipping supplies. So this is also another unknown cost. You're thinking, oh, a lot of money. But then you can make a lot of money. But there's also a lot of costs that come behind eBay too. There is fees. eBay takes their fees. They do get their money. They take 12 to 20% depending on your seller rating. There's gas. There's the costly items. There's your time. There's your labor. Cost of shipping supplies. There's so much stuff that actually adds into your costs you need to be aware of. When you're buying. So a good rule of thumb that I have is I won't buy something if I'm not going to double my money. So, I mean, it's not all the cases. If something was, most 99% of the time, I would stick by that rule of thumb that if you're not going to double your money, it's probably not worth it. Again, smaller items, if this was $60 and it sold for $100, I probably wouldn't buy it. It probably isn't worth my time. After I ship it, I buy the boxes, everything like that. But if it's $60, I would think about it for $60. Now I'd only be making $40, and then eBay takes their 15%. You gotta buy the boxes. You gotta pay for the gas. You gotta pay for your cost of time. It takes time to ship everything. And when it comes down to it, you gotta be doubling your money on every single purchase, basically. Not all the time. There's exceptions. But a good rule of thumb is if you can't double your money, you gotta pass on it. This is something I struggled with for a long time. I became attached to an item. So if I came in and I was like, oh my god, these supplements are selling for $100, that's crazy. Why is someone buying a supplement for $100? And you get attached to it. You get attached to the idea that you can make $100 off something just like that. But then when it comes down to pricing and you realize that the person wants $60, $70 for it and you can't double your money, it's hard to put that item back sometime. But you need to realize, I know I'm getting off a tangent, sorry, I forget I'm on shipping, but you need to double your money, at least. Because after shipping, after cost of goods, after cost of supplies, things start to add up. There's a lot of other costs, what else? even like wear and tear on your car you might not think about, but there's things do add up. You need to double your money. And besides that, sorry, I'm getting off on a tangent here. Probably do not sell anything less for 10, like do not list an item for less than $10. That's my minimum item requirement for price. It's just not worth it. It's not worth your time. And again, the supplies, it's not going to be worth it for you to list an item that's less than $10. Yeah, it's pretty simple. It's a pretty simple rule. I won't list anything for under $10, or yeah, under $10. I will list it for like 11 with shipping. I'm not doing $11 free shipping either, because like shipping is going to cost $5 minimum, and then the cost of supplies is $1. So unless you're getting the item for $1, making $3, it's probably not worth your time. But if you're just starting off, it might be. Personally, where I am now, it's not going to be worth it to make $3, $4 for a single item that's going to take me 10 minutes in total to do. It's just not worth it, because eBay does take their fees. You do have to store the item. It's not guaranteed that it's going to sell. So taking 50%, or making sure you double your money, is number one when you're at a garage sale. And number two is probably don't buy it if it's less than $10. Back on the shipping, because I got on a tangent. Sorry. You need to buy shipping supplies. Shipping supplies is something where there's many different routes to it. There's many different routes to the same destination, and I guess that's a good metaphor. I would say if I started off again, what I would do is I would look for free shipping supplies around your neighborhood. There's so many different boxes that I go around. I never did this, actually. I'll show you what I did later. But there's, like, if you drive around just for a little bit, like, you're not even taking a special route to look for, but like if you're going to buy coffee or go to dinner, there's so many different boxes laying around that are perfect for shipping. And you'd be surprised about how many there are, because like once you start looking for it, then you'll see a lot of them. So be aware of that. Free boxes, great way to save on shipping supplies. But you still need high quality tape. I forget what it's called, but I mean it's expensive tape. I buy it from Uline. Uline is actually where I buy all my shipping supplies. They are great. They have great customer service. Great products, great quality. They are on the pricier side, so if you are starting off, go with the free route, I would say, because I think the minimum order requirement's like $200. So maybe not something you want to do right away, but it's definitely a worthwhile investment. Something you're gonna need to do later on. I buy it's like $400 worth of boxes a month. It's pretty crazy, and it adds up. I have like $50 in tape. Like, why is $50 tape something that I thought, like, I'd never think that I would be spending $50 in tape, but yeah, it adds up. That's why you need to be doubling your money, not wasting your time on items that are under $10. Yeah, that's your step-by-step guide to becoming a full-time reseller. Next thing I want to do for you guys, I want to make as much content as possible for you guys, especially if you're here. It's pretty crazy to think about. You're what is this? 15 minutes? A while. You're here for a while. I'm gonna make as much content as possible. So the next stage that I'm gonna give you is you went from like A to Z basically, but you have laid the great foundation, sure. I'll call it that, of what you need to know for becoming a full-time reseller. I feel like I'm starting to actually start stumbling over my words. It's been a while. But you've laid the foundation for what you need to become a full-time reseller. And over the next time period, I guess I would say, I'm going to be releasing content specific to different niches. So I'm going to be diving into each niche and giving specifics about that niche. So, I'll be doing book niches, I'll be doing camera niches, I'll be doing train niches, I'll be doing phone niches, I'll be doing video game niches. I want to dive into everything to give you guys as much content and knowledge as possible. I want to provide you guys with as much value as possible, because I want to provide something that I wish I had when I first started off, and I want to provide you guys with all the mistakes I made. So I'm going to show you guys how I first started off with books, actually, and how I learned that books personally are not for me. I hope you guys enjoyed. That was pretty awesome for me. I feel like I did not think I would be able to make, like an hour and a half video. Maybe no one will watch it, but I want to provide you guys value. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. My name is Joey. I own Westchester Antiques, and thank you. Thank you for watching this far. That really means a lot to me. I put so much time and effort into this video, and it means a lot to me that you've watched it, and you're taking your steps to becoming a full-time reseller and being an entrepreneur. It's awesome. So this is Garage Sale University's video, and this is your no bullshit guide to becoming a full-time reseller.